So, I thought here on the second channel, an interesting topic to talk about with regards to Assassin's Creed Odyssey will be my theories for exactly where they're going with it, because I do have a few. As much as I detest Ubisoft's decision to release another Assassin's Creed game so close to Origins, regardless of how long they took to develop it, doesn't matter, it's just too soon. Whether you agree with me on that or not is irrelevant. That's cool. If we disagree, it's cool, it's chill, don't worry about it, it's fine. I still can't switch off the Assassin's Creed fan in my head that has all these theories and ideas, and I didn't want to, oversaturate the main channel with more Assassin's Creed videos, because I don't want that for the main channel, and also I would kill myself. So I thought, why not do it on the second channel, where we can discuss it in a sort of controlled, nice, chilled environment. It's a little bit more low effort, but I thought it'd be a good time. So I guess we'll go ahead and we'll hop into it. So Odyssey was announced. We all know this, and I thought there's a few things that we can talk about in terms of theories that I have for where the game's gonna go, based on the logo and leaks and things, and pretty much where I'm almost certain the game's going at this point, based on a multitude of things. If you don't believe me, that's fine. Just wait till the game comes out, and I'm actually 100% sure this is correct. That the game is going to be set prior to Origins, which to me at first was sort of like that's a bit odd. That's a bit odd. Ideally, like, just going off on a tangent, ideally what would be pretty cool, to be fair, for them to do is, if they're doing these sort of, they did Origins, and then they do Odyssey, and they're telling a new story, that's somewhat related to Origin, and obviously I'll get into that in a minute, sort of where I want that to go. And who knows, the next game, they could go back to Bayek, they could revisit Bayek, and that could be a sequel to his story, sort of a similar way to the Call of Duty cycle is, we get Black Ops, then we get, like, the way it was, we got Black Ops, then we got Modern Warfare, then we got another Black Ops, then we got another Modern Warfare. That sort of cycle that they had going, they could do that with Assassin's Creed, and I think that'd be a really sort of a smart way to go in terms of getting out as many games as they want without losing quality and keeping player investment. So, if that's something they were gonna do, if that's a sort of a road they were gonna go down, I'd sort of be all for that, because I think it's a middle ground. It's a compromise for the fans, but also for the fans that want lots of games, for the fans that want this investment, but also for Ubisoft making money and impressing their shareholders that, look, we've got all these Assassin's Creed games. So I think that'd be good. But where do I think they're going with this? Now, if it is set before, which I do think it is, because of a couple reasons. So one, the new logo looks to be sort of referencing Spartans, and not assassins at all. There's no assassin logo. The leaks have also said it's set before. The majority of the leaks said it's set before, and I may or may not know that it might be, and I can't tell you, obviously, because that would be unfair. But there's a few, from a few different sources. Basically, I'm almost certain that it's set before. I'm trying to be very careful here, but obviously, I haven't signed anything. And I've from a couple different sources, I've pretty much found that that's what the game's going to be. It's going to be set before Origins. So, if that's the case, what are they doing with this? And what I think they're doing is an Origins set of games, in a sense. So, Origins was the origins of the Brotherhood, and that's a good starting point if you can tell origin stories. Now, where are they going with Odyssey? Now, I think it can go two ways, and I think one way makes more sense, but I also think either way would make sense, and that's that either they're going to do the origin of the Hidden Blade or the origin of the Order of Ancients. And I think that the Order of the Ancients one, I'll go into first because it's sort of the shorter one, was brought up to me on Twitter by someone who was saying, like, what do you think about this idea? And I think it makes sense. It's very possible. He was wearing sort of that sort of red colours on his outfit. There's no sort of assassin iconography, but there wouldn't be if it's set before, because the reason assassins wore white robes was because of Bayek and because of what Aya did. That was the first time the assassins adopted the Hidden Blade. That was, where the Brotherhood began. That's where they adopted the symbol. So, even if it is not the Order of the Ancients, then we're not going to see any assassin iconography in this game, because the Brotherhood didn't come around until much, much later. So there is no Brotherhood of Assassins. There will be assassin-type people, like, obviously there was Darius and fucking the other blokes, and that girl with the poison. But there was, there's no Brotherhood. Obviously that was retconned, but it fits. So the thing with that is they could be doing an origin to the Order of the Ancients. I think it's possible. I think it'd be an interesting turn to take. They've done the origin of the assassins. Now do the origin of the Order. I think that'd be very interesting. A very interesting story, and a different take as well. Because the thing that they always do, and they even did it in Rogue, was they always shoehorn in this, you have to assassinate people. That's always shoehorned in, and you find the stories that deviate from this are the best ones. We look at something like Revelations. As much as people don't necessarily like the game Revelations, the story, you've got to admit, is one of the best, as is Black Flag. Both of those written by Darby McDevitt, who he doesn't like to conform. I think he was originally writing Assassin's Creed Origins, and I think he left of his own accord because Ubisoft wanted to control what he was writing, and I think he wanted to go deeper into philosophy and things like that, but that's all complete speculation, so you can't take my word on that, but that's what I think, because knowing Darby, not claiming to know him personally, but you know what I mean. Seeing the way he is with his work, and so he's a very passionate guy with his writing, and he does a great job. And Revelations and Black Flag were very, very different Assassin's Creed games. If you look at Assassin's Creed Revelations, you see the main story of that game, and I think you can tell is that Darby wrote was Ezio looking for the Masyaf keys and his relationship with Sophia growing, and that was the story I think Darby wanted to write. But Ubisoft was, of course, like, we need some Templars in it. Got to assassinate some Templars, because they can't just tell, a good story. They've got to also shoehorn in, assassinate Templars too. And so I think that had to be shoehorned in. And then the same with Black Flag. It was about, Edward and his personal growth and the way that he learned to deal with the loss of his friends and realized that was his fault and he had to change, He had to become an assassin and join these people, to grow, and he grew as a person. It's a tremendous story, and the assassin Templar story is shoehorned in at the end. It's, go assassinate these different people right at the very end of the story. And I think that's why, I was talking about this on stream the other day, I think this is why the main antagonist in Revelations and Black Flag is severely lacking compared to other ones. I mean, Black Flag had Roberts, but, we got, like, Torres. And obviously Assassin's Creed Revelations had Ahmet, or whatever his fucking name was, and they weren't great, were they? But I think that's because they're shoehorned in. I don't think that was the story Darby wanted to write, but he had to put that in somewhere, so he does it, and so I think it's very possible that if they were going to do an Origin of the Order, it wouldn't be a typical generic Assassin's Creed game in terms of, you start off, you want revenge, you kill bunch of guys, and that's the end of the game. That is pretty much every Assassin's Creed game, and if they deviated from that, I reckon they could have a real winner on their hands in terms of narrative, because it'd be different. They'd be mixing up the formula. It's not the same formula. It's not, this open world, kill a bunch of targets, end of game. There's a piece of Eden involved a bit at the end. That's it. Like, that's tired at this point. And I think that if they were going to do an Origin of the Order, then they could really deviate, and it could be a personal story. They could take it in new directions. There's not a bunch of assassinations. You can have a bit of it in there, obviously, because they're fun missions to play. But that's not the main focus, is, even with Origins, it was like, you even have a fucking targets list to cross off. I killed this guy, I killed this guy, I killed this guy. And I think that at the beginning of Assassin's Creed, with Assassin's Creed 1, was, Altair's an assassin doing a job at the end of the day. And I think that was our stepping on point, was seeing, what do assassins do? What is their day-to-day, like, what do they do? What's their job? What are they doing? What's their purpose? And their purpose at that point was assassinating targets so they could, change the world for the better, or the better in their eyes, which is what they tried to do. And Corey May wrote a fantastic story with 1. It's really subtle. It's really great. I could do a whole video on it, why it's, a really fucking fantastic story. And it's really the stepping on point of seeing, what do the assassins do? and now we're within their world, we're within their universe, and that gets sort of shattered. Like the status quo gets shattered at the end of Assassin's Creed 1, showing that, you know, there's more to it than this. Now we've seen what assassins do, and we've told a story about what assassins do. We can really start to focus on characters, and that's something they did with 2 and Brotherhood, and then very much more in Revelations. And that's something Darby tried to do, was tell stories in this world, not tell assassin versus Templar stories, not just copying the first game, you know? That was our stepping on point, and now we can tell stories in this universe, but Ubisoft just wanted the same thing over and over and over and over again. And so I think it'd be interesting to, you know, shake up the status quo with a Templar game, without doing it in the way Rogue did it, where it was basically the same thing, but instead they went, oh, but this time you're playing as Templars. Like, if they'd have just said, you know, Hatham and Shay and whoever you're with, and fucking Gist or whatever, if they'd have said they're all assassins, and Achilles and Hope, and they're all Templars, you would have believed it, because they're cookie cutter. They literally just reverse the roles, and they make the assassins look evil, and they make the Templars look good. So whoever you're playing as looks like the good guy. There's no grey area. Whereas in Assassin's Creed 1, it was like, wait, who is the good guy? Because I get what the assassins are doing, and I can see this from Altair's point of view, but as you progress, you see Altair start to question. It's like, why am I killing these guys? Why are these guys bad? Are they evil, and are we good? Or is this just, you know, this big morally grey area? And I think that's why that's such a good game. And I think they could really delve into that well in a game where they focus on the origin of the Order of the Ancients. Now, my second idea, which I think is the most likely one, is it's an Origin of the Hidden Blade story. In terms of, you know, it's a personal story, and within this story, for some reason, you forge the Hidden Blade, and your character makes the Hidden Blade, and then subsequently, Darius uses said Hidden Blade to assassinate Xerxes. Now, in the leaks, we got and I think this will make sense for, you know, this series of Origin games. So you have the origin of the assassins, the origin of the Hidden Blade. Then we can go back to Bayek. I don't know. This is sort of like one of those things. Like, see, if they were going to do that, it'd work well. Because, like, look at something like the MCU. You have the Avengers movie, but before that, you get an Iron Man movie. You don't just get Iron Man 2. You then get Thor. You get Captain America. Then you get to revisit Iron Man. Then you get them all to team up. So, you know, if they were doing that, I wouldn't be hugely mad at it, like, because they do a Bayek story, they then do an Origin of the Hidden Blade story, then we jump back to Bayek again, because it's like a game. We just get a game for context and for history and, you know, for backstory. Then we jump back to Bayek again. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? That'd be sick. It'd be building up this universe, and I think, you know, that's something they were doing early on, and I don't think they'll do it. I think that's, you know, not even on the cards for Ubisoft, but who knows? Who genuinely knows? Maybe they do. Maybe they do it. We don't know. So I'll give them a benefit of the doubt, but as much as I shouldn't. But, you know, in Origins, Darius is mentioned, and how, he used to kill Xerxes and whatever. And I think the fact they said that just because they knew that the Syndicate team, because it is the Syndicate team, was making Odyssey, and so they were like, oh, we can say that in our game, and it'll set up their game. And I think that's what they were doing. So one of the leaks, and I don't think this leak was true, because it does say that fucking Testicles gets knocked into the water and eaten by a shark or whatever fucking dumb shit, and like Leonidas gets killed after the Battle of Thermopylae, even though he dies in the battle. You know, I don't think that looks true. But what I do think makes sense is that maybe we do start in the Battle of Thermopylae. Maybe something happens, blah blah blah. But that was between Leonidas, who was the king of, you know, sort of the Greek fucking Sparta or whatever, and then you've got Xerxes, who obviously was, you know, the king of Persia, and that was sort of their thing. And Darius obviously kills Xerxes a little bit later. I think was it 6 years? No, it's a lot longer than that later, because I think the Battle of Thermopylae was like 480, right? 480 BC. And I think Xerxes was assassinated in, was it 466? So that's a bit later. It's like 14 years or something later. So the game could take place over that time. Who fucking knows? I don't personally, but you know, it'd be interesting to see what they do with that. I think it's very possible that we see that battle, and I think it's it's a poignant point. It's sort of known a lot throughout culture. I think it's the same for the movie 300, and so I've never seen that movie. It's fucking made by Zack Snyder. Don't care for that director at all, but there you go. And yeah, so I think the more likely candidate is that they'll do a Hidden Blade origin story. And I'm still not mad at it. I think the fact that they're out of the constraints of the typical assassin versus Templars would mean that they're more sort of in the open to not tell this generic you have to assassinate X amount of targets and then the story's over story. I feel like they're sort of in the open to really play around with a cool, interesting story. And it being the Syndicate team, and based on leaks, and I think it's probably obvious, is they're gonna do another Borough system, like from Syndicate, but they'll incorporate it differently. And I'm not too mad at that because it was fine in Syndicate. It was one of the better things about Syndicate, and it sort of like a glorified, more interesting Borgia Tower system from fucking Brotherhood, and so that's cool. That's chill. That'd work in a really cool like RPG open world. You have like you do certain things in this area, and then that brings out like a main target. They're a fleshed out target. It'd be cool if you learn more about them as you do these things. Like you do a camp, you do a side mission here, you do a side mission there, and as you do these, it lures out this main target of this region. They're all individual, and you take them out. That'd be interesting, and that'd be fine. And that could be the side missions. The side missions, are taking over these regions. And those are the assassinations. They could be side missions to have incorporate the assassination, but the main story is a lot deeper than that. It's a lot more personal, and it's not just this shoehorned in assassinate this guy, now assassinate this guy, because it wouldn't make sense, having it set that far back. And I think they could do some really interesting stuff, and honestly, that's what I think they're doing. I think it'll be a personal story that eventually, for some reason, leads to the invention of the Hidden Blade, because maybe there's something, get into the politics of the era, the war, and they need to assassinate Xerxes. They need to get rid of Xerxes. And I think it'll make sense that it's set in Greece. Xerxes and his Persian army is taken over the region. They're sort of all over the fucking place. The enemies are the Persians. You're a Greek soldier. You're a Spartan. And you take out all of these Greek generals and captains across the region, and that's the side stuff. And the main quest could be you working alongside people to, fight in this war, and eventually it culminates with you inventing the Hidden Blade and Darius assassinates Xerxes, and that's the ending of the game. And it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting because it'll be a poignant, historic moment in the Assassin's Creed universe. And I'm not mad at that as long as it's tackled correctly. And as much as I'm, not happy with the games, not being given enough breathing room because, I'm not, it doesn't mean this game will be bad. It's like when Brotherhood started the yearly release cycle. Brotherhood wasn't bad. Revelations wasn't bad. But eventually, we got Unity. And that's the issue I think I have. Is that Odyssey might not be bad. Probably won't be bad, to be honest. If they're using the Origins formula, how bad can it really be? But it's not going to be innovative. But it might be fun. It might be a good game. But later down the line, if they keep releasing yearly, we're going to end up with a Unity, especially with the change in hardware coming up. When they release on the PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox, we're going to get a Unity if they keep releasing yearly. And what I would love to see is when the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox comes out, they take a break. They have that year break so they can develop the best game for the next generation console. They don't have a Unity situation. That's what I absolutely love, because at the end of the day, we all want good Assassin's Creed games. I want great Assassin's Creed games. I still love the franchise. It's difficult for me. But these are the theories that I have for Odyssey. In case anyone wanted to know, just thought I'd sit down, have a really fucking chilled out chat. Really chilled out. It's quite late at night here, to be honest. I mean, when I say late at night, it's about midnight. But everyone in my house is asleep because they're responsible people. And there's that. I also just have the wiki page for 300 up because I wanted to check if 300 was set in that battle. It is as well. So I was right on that, and I've never seen it. But there you go. Those are my thoughts on Odyssey and sort of where I think it's going. If you have any other ideas, let me know. But of course, like I said, I pretty much know from sources, multiple sources. Obviously, you know, I can't name names because that would be incredibly unfair, but from a few sources have told me the same thing, that have, you know, known about the game, and so pretty much, yeah, it's known that that's what's going to happen, and that's also, you know, it's been leaked, so I'm allowed to talk about it, aren't I? You know, we've already had it leaked, so I'm just confirming that that's also what I've heard. It's sort of like, you know, the way Kotaku does it, where it's like, they don't outright leak things, but if it's already been leaked, they just go, oh yeah, we heard that. And it's been leaked now. Like, it's pretty much been leaked. I'm just going, yeah, I also heard that same thing. So, there you go. Just sort of covering my bases there, because, you know, I don't mean to be unfair to people, but there you go. I thought I'd just corroborate it, I suppose, and be like, yeah, I also heard that. So there you go. I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm not mad at this. Obviously, if I'm gonna be analytical, then obviously I'm gonna be a lot more sort of on the ball with these things, like I did with my video essay. But a lot of people didn't like that. Obviously, they just don't like hearing negative things. That's just how it is, and it's a shame, because obviously I don't like hearing negative things either. I'd like to be positive about everything, but unfortunately, things need to be criticized sometimes, and that's just it. But that is it for this video on the second channel. I do hope you enjoyed. This won't be the only video coming out sort of this week. I think I might do another quick one. I might just open the rest of these fucking Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I've got, because not all of them, just that box I did the other video of. I might just whack open the rest of them or something, just so there's another video on the channel that's not just, you know, this sort of boring Assassin's Creed. You guys are gonna love it though, so it's fine. But you know, and I thought I'd whack this up on the second channel, because this honestly is just a conversation I wanted to have. And I didn't want it to be just like a cash grab or oversaturating my channel with Assassin's Creed. And you know it's not a cash grab, because this video would have got so many views on my main channel, and I would have made a lot of money. But I'm like, no, I kind of just want to talk about it. Don't want to ruin my main channel. I just want to talk about it, and I don't make any money off my second channel, so there you go. So I thought this would be a fun chat. Alright, that's it. I'm going to wrap this thing up. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like I guess, let me know your thoughts in the comments, like I said. And I'll try and keep this as unedited as possible, just to be a nice old chat. But there you go. Those are my thoughts. Those are my ideas. Anyways, thanks for joining me. I'll see you all later on. Goodbye.